Coming up on this episode, we're celebrating 25 years of Café Catholica as I sit down with Father Sean Horrigan and Vivian Ramos to learn about the beginnings of our annual Young Adult Speaker Series and why they still encourage young adults to attend. Welcome to Around the Archdiocese.
Sharing information, insights, and stories about our Catholic faith from across the Archdiocese of Galveston-Houston, you're listening to Around the Archdiocese. Here's your host, Sean O'Driscoll.
Hello and welcome back for another episode. My name is Sean O'Driscoll. Thank you for joining us again. It is July, which means it is time for another year of Café Catholica, our annual Young Adult Speaker Series sponsored by the Office of Young Adult and Campus Ministry. This is, in fact, the 25th anniversary of Café Catholica. And so to celebrate, I was able to sit down with Father Sean Horrigan and Vivian Ramos. Father Sean is currently the pastor at Christ the Redeemer Catholic Church, and Vivian serves as the Director of Communication at St. John Vianney. Together, they were part of the team that helped create Café Catholica 25 years ago. So I had a chance to sit down at Christ the Redeemer with the two of them to learn more about where this program came from, how it got started, and what their hopes and dreams were for it 25 years ago. Now, about 10 minutes in, one of the administrative assistants brought in a folder to Father Sean, which actually had his original notes in it from 25 years ago. So you'll actually get to hear us go through some of that and hear his awe and amazement going through some of those older notes. It's a really fun conversation to get a chance to understand where the ministry for young adults in our diocese has come from and how, in some ways, that ministry not only is still needed, but also hasn't changed all that much. The needs of human beings don't change. Looking for love, looking for understanding, looking for purpose, all of which can truly be found in the person of Jesus Christ. The Café Catholica Summer Series is open to all young adults ages 18 to 39 and features dynamic speakers, prayer, and socializing. This year, Café Catholica 2024 will be held at St. Vincent de Paul Catholic Church, located at 6800 Buffalo Speedway in Houston, on Monday evenings in July. You can find out all the details by visiting cafecatholica.org. So, without any further ado, let's start the show. Father Sean, where were you 25 years ago?
25 years ago, I was the vicar, the assistant pastor, parochial vicar for St. Michael Catholic Church in Uptown Houston. Although I don't even know if we called it Uptown Houston. We called it the Galleria area. Or as my mother liked to call it, Our Lady of Macy's. Because it's right down the street from Macy's on Sage Road. So that was my first assignment. I was ordained in 1998, summer of 98, May 16th. And my first assignment was at St. Michael's. So that's where I started and spent 4 years. I was there through 2002. So 25 years ago would have been 1999. So I was just finishing my first year, I guess, as the vicar there at St. Michael's, and encountered when I got there. At the time, St. Michael's had a very large and active, the largest and most active young adult group in the Archdiocese. I suspect, I don't know, but perhaps that was one of the reasons I was sent there, because I was the young priest. I was 32 years old, I think, when I was ordained. So I immediately kind of fell in with that group and said Mass often for them. A lot of them obviously my age or around that, in their 20s or mid-30s. And so it was a natural fit, and it was an active group, big. They had regular meetings. They had a newsletter. I remember it was before cell phones or anything of that nature. So it was just a very vibrant group with officers, and they had a lot of activities throughout every month. It was kind of the place to be if you were a young adult Catholic in the Archdiocese of Galveston-Houston at that time.
Now, was there a diocesan office for young adults like there is today?
It was just beginning. I don't know if it was active in 98, but by 99, it was up and running. I think that was the first office. The person that hired for that office was a guy named Bill Cork. I don't know if there was anybody before Bill in that role, maybe unofficially. But so by the summer of 99, Bill was in that role, and certainly obviously came out to St. Michael's because that was a little bit of ground zero for young adult activities. And as I said, in the Archdiocese, I guess we were still just the diocese at that time.
So here you are, 1 year a priest.
1 year priest, baby priest. Mm-hmm.
So what made St. Michael's and you as a young priest feel like, okay, we know what the young adults of the diocese need?
I think we didn't know what they needed. All we knew at that time, if I can recall correctly, was just our group, the St. Michael's group, which, as I said, was very large and active. But there was also a group not far away down at St. Anne's on Westheimer, the Basilian parish. Maybe St. Vincent de Paul had a group. There were pockets of them, maybe a smaller one somewhere down in, if I remember correctly, down in Clear Lake.
There's Bay Area young adults in Clear Lake.
Yeah,
and then we
Bay
had
Area.
St. John Vianney was one of the other largest. It was St. Anne's, St. Michael's, and St. John Vianney were the three largest
in
young
West
adults.
Houston, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, but I don't know how well they were connected. Again, we didn't have social media at that time.
So back in the day, we had PACO, Parish Activities for Catholic Communication Organization.
I forgot all about PACO.
Yes, so we had PACO, and all the young adults groups had one of their officers was a PACO rep.
That's right. Gosh, Vivian has a great memory. So that was the organizational attempt to try to bring some cohesion to those individual groups.
Mm-hmm. And that included Bay Area. Everything was based on spiritual, sports, service, and social. So even sports, we had softball was the biggest sport in this So like St. John, St. John Vianney had 3 teams. St. Michael's had 3 teams. We played St. Anne's, and we played in the summer against each other. And then we had a big softball tournament at Cullen Park every June, in the beginning of June, and we'd all play each other. We'd all be there. It was really great community.
That is right. Yes, softball was everything. Yes. They were competitive. I remember that. Oh, thank you for remembering that. That brings back some memories there. Yeah. So these groups had some connection, but certainly by the summer of 99 and Bill in his office, there was a desire for something more and maybe something a little bit more deeper. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. Something that would feed the soul and stimulate some conversation and get people to interact and to come together in a church.
I agree. And then also, because softball ended at the beginning of June, because we started in the spring, we needed something in the summer. Okay. There was nothing for young adults in the summer. People just it's like the school year. That was it. So that's kind of...
So we kind of fell into this idea, well, let's bring them together. Also, I will say, because I was at St. Michael's and St. Michael's had just built its community center. It just opened. I think that's what they called it.
Yes, it was brand new.
Was that the name of it, the community center? I can't remember. It was the new building and had it was a large hall and had a kitchen in the back and a couple of breakout rooms and things of that nature. So it was an easy here we can use this space. I don't know if my pastor agreed with that at the time. I just kind of took some liberties, but it was open and it was summertime. It wasn't all booked. And so, what if we held it there and then we could have mass over in the church. And then from there, the ideas just started snowballing.
And Vivian, where were you at this time?
I was with St. John Vianney, but I was actually on the board of PACO at the time as well. So I kind of went in between all the young adult
Everybody
groups.
knew Vivian. She was the glue for everybody. And that's how I first met her. Yeah.
Yes.
So, good.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that. Yes. The original files from St. Michael's. I think it has been unearthed here. So, yes. Oh, look at this. Here's the...
Wow.
Yes, St. Michael's Young Adult Committee, I think it was. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Very good. This looks like, look at this. Oh, gosh.
Wow. Back in the day when we did not have email.
Oh, yeah.
It was mailed.
Yeah.
We had monthly newsletters as well, and we mailed them just like that.
Yeah, because this was sent to me at St. John Vianney. Oh. This is May of 2003. So even by then I had been moved over, and I was assigned to St. John Vianney's. But here is Café Catholica meeting, 6/26.
What year?
I didn't write the year down. Okay, here is, look at this. This is the original outline. This was probably, yes. So if you want me to, I can just kind of read you some of my notes from back then. So this would have been June 26th. This had to be.
It had to be a year before.
You think it was 98?
Because we started in June of 99.
Mm. Lester and music.
Lester Lopez.
Okay. Mm-hmm. He's checking with John Clay. John Clay is now a parishioner here.
Really?
Christ the Redeemer, yeah. His grandkid goes to our school. Speaker is going to be a panel discussion. Bill will moderate. Food each night. That was a big deal.
Yes.
Provided by a parish, but we'll supply cups, plates, napkins.
Oh, okay. So that had to be probably our notes after the first year.
My goodness. Laura Ann and Marcelo were going to do art and environment. And here's the original outline for the night. We were going to start at 7:30. That seems kind of late. With icebreakers, music filler. Then we had all this. So anyway, this was the beginning of, yes. Here's our board meeting that we had. Boy, so a lot of meetings went into it. Look at this. Here's even our original budget from 1999. Wow. Our expenses were $1,200. Stipends, $14. Woo. Speaker, $195. Income, did not quite match it. So good stuff.
Wow. Real trip down memory lane for you guys.
It is.
What does PACO stand for? And that's your handwriting.
Yes, that is my handwriting.
Look at that.
Yes.
24-year-old notes unearthed from Father Sean's files.
That is right. And Vivian and I must have been passing this back and forth.
Mm-hmm, because my handwriting's on there.
Uh-huh.
We're writing notes like
uh-huh. Here we are. Okay, here's an email I sent. Oh, and I wrote to a lady, I think, up in Chicago, because one of the genesis for it was playing off of the Theology on Tap, which in the late 90s, I believe, started in the Archdiocese of Chicago and quickly took off, and there were some features on it. And it involved young adult Catholics in the Chicago area meeting, usually at a brewery or a bar or sometimes a coffee house, but they would call it Theology on Tap. And that did so well. In fact, that became kind of a registered trademark. It became a program, because we were going to call ours Theology on Tap and then realize that, well, no, that is something specific. So we were certainly playing off of that idea for our Café Catholica, but we didn't want to call it that same thing there. And here's a list of speakers we drummed up, of names that we kind of suggested who might be able to talk with us here. Summer Coffee House, St. Michael's, see, June and July. So that
was the original.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Here's Atlanta had a group, the Holy Grounds, they called it. So I think I did lots of research and Googling. There's some notes.
Was Google back? Was there
no,
a Google
I guess there wasn't
then?
Google back then.
Not quite yet, no.
Was there Yahoo? I don't know how I found out.
Yeah, there was a Yahoo, Alta Vista web crawler, that's right.
Yeah, exactly. Becoming a young adult responsive church. So this was from the Center for Ministry for Development. This was only in 97. So again, it was such a new idea in the Catholic Church in, let's say, the mid to late 90s that hey, we've got these 20-somethings, 30-somethings. You got to remember also what's going on. I think Seinfeld had just wrapped up its run, because I can remember the last episode of Seinfeld was on May 14th, 1998, because that was a Thursday night, and I was ordained on Saturday, May 16th. Oh. So I always know in my mind that Seinfeld's finale was 2 days before I was ordained. But then what came after that was Friends. So
yes,
Friends was, everybody was watching that. And so this idea of young adults hanging around coffee shops, living their life and their relationships, very much in the mindset. And so it was our idea, well, how do we tap in, literally, tap into this idea of Catholics, young adult Catholics, feeding what do they want to hear, what do they need to hear, and how can we bring about that they have a place in the church?
Thinking back to what you were trying to do, especially with the speakers and the topics you were trying to cover, what do you remember about what the needs were that you were trying, or the issues that you were trying to address at that time?
Relationships
was always one. Breaking, I can even go back, here's my notes, if I can read my handwriting from 25 years ago. First, the self, who am I? A sense of identity, their baptismal call. Trying to get an idea about that. And then how do I relate to others? Relationships, my family, I'm moving out of the house perhaps. Now they're young adults, they're going into the workplace. And so how do I interact and how do I live that? Sexuality and relationships was also one topic that I see written down here. Spirituality, where does God fit in all of this in my life here? The church, what's my connection to church ad extra, so to speak, there in the world, social issues, and how do we live our Catholic faith in the 21st century? Again, this was, what's happening there is 99. We're looking forward to the new millennial that's coming, or Y2K. Oh, my gosh. Lots about that. So there was no shortage of topics.
No. And it was all similar each year. We just expounded on it. Right, expanded on the topics each year, updated the titles, and got different speakers.
Tweaked it a little bit, and different speakers brought in different perspectives there. But I suspect, matter of fact, I know, looking at the Café Catholica now, it's still the same questions.
Yes.
Who am I? Where's my place in the world? What is the role of the church? How do I deal with sex and the other in the other, spirituality, where's the sense of the holy? How do I claim my baptismal identity? What about service? What's my obligation to my brother and sister? Those questions are timeless, and we will continue, I suspect, to unpack them. Every generation will look to unpeel back and find their place in the world. So it's good stuff. It's needed conversation.
And they still get just as many as we did before, even more so. Like, they've doubled.
Yeah, that was funny. Vivian was saying earlier that, when we first planned this, we had no idea. Nothing like this had been done. Certainly in Galveston-Houston, now it had been done, as I said, in other parts of the country. So we were just shooting, darts at the dartboard, really, throwing them at the dartboard. And maybe we thought 30, 50 people. And then the first night,
it's like 300.
300 or so. Wow.
And
up.
we had food only. We had one long
for 50
people, and then we ended up ordering pizzas. We had a Subway, large Subway sandwich.
That's right. I do remember
and
that.
We had to cut it all up, but then we were like, oh my gosh, we're out of food.
I remember being in the back in the kitchen. Got that smaller. Got that smaller. Try the miracle of the loaves and the Subway sandwich. We didn't have any fish there to multiply there. But it worked out, and people came back the next week.
They still
and they
came
brought
back.
A friend. Yeah,
yes.
They did. So that was great.
Yeah.
Was great.
And then that's where the idea of the next year's when we got the idea of having the different young adult groups hosting the food, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah.
That group, so having the rep, that group would go back. What do we want to serve? What can our budget allow? And they were the host for that evening.
And did we charge, or was it a volunteer donation?
It was volunteer. We never charged.
Never charged, yeah. So if they wanted to throw in a few bucks to cover the food and the Cokes and stuff like that. So, but it wasn't a hard sell by any stretch. It was like, we wanted you there.
Looking back 25 years ago, starting as a young professional, and now here you are 25 years later, working full time for a parish.
Yes. I spent a good amount of my time, 25 years or so, in the food industry. So ice cream and then just food service. Didn't really realize that I would end up at St. John Vianney, where I started with young adults back in the day after college.
And where you got married?
Where I got proposed to, where I got married, where my kids are baptized. So
I was there for all of it.
Yes. Father Sean was there for all of it. He was there for the proposal.
I was in the church. Her husband, great guy, Aldo Ramos, Houston firefighter, and they were in the sanctuary of St. John Vianney, the new church, which we had just built.
Yes.
Yeah. And I was off to the side doing something, and I could see Vivian and Aldo over there, and I could see him talking, and I can't remember if he got down on a knee. I suppose he did.
And proposed to me in Spanish.
Yes.
Wow.
And all I understood was esposa. It's like, okay.
And then she yelled across the church, "Father Sean, I just got engaged." And I said, "That's between y'all. Y'all handle that. I was like embarrassed.
Yes.
Like, oh, that's your private moment or what have you there. So I was the first one to know.
Yes.
I was like, Mary Magdalene at the cross. I was the first one to hear. Then I went to be the apostle to the apostles to tell others.
Funny.
And stuff. So, and then got to witness your marriage, and we've been friends ever since. So we've been together a long time. So it's good.
Came and blessed my house as well.
That's right. And now she has a child going off to university, and but it's beautiful to see those kind of relationships. So I mean, so many relationships I know, but probably been a lot of proposals, I imagine, through young adult. But I think we were conscious back then. It wasn't meant to be like a hookup spot or whatever, although I'm sure some people went. And but it was a place like you're safe here, you're welcome here, and because a lot of people, some people are less gregarious, let's say, than Vivian. Vivian she has never met a stranger. She's has such a beautiful personality and likes to talk and engage with people. But other people, maybe not so much. But if you were a wallflower, or if you just didn't have the social skills, or you just hadn't been exposed to that, hey, come, you have a place here. And I always try to go up to those people if they were sitting by themselves, drinking a Coke or eating a slice of the Subway sandwich or what have you there. Hey, glad you're here. You came. I mean, it takes a lot for somebody to get up and say, okay, I'm going to drive over to St. Michael's on a Monday night and go to Mass. Okay, I can do that. But then afterwards to have to interact with people. So we were always kind of conscious of that it was a place for young adults to say, hey, this is your church. We say it a lot with the young adults. I mean, with youth, I guess, maybe high school youth, like they're the future of the church. And but I never you're not the future. You're the present. You're here now. You have a place. It's different in your life now, as whether you're a high school student, now you're into young adults and you've just graduated college, or maybe you're still working, or you're still going to college. A lot of people working and going to college, things of that nature. So people just trying to find themselves and their identity. That was so vital of us talking about why we wanted to do it, that helped them discover who God made them to be and how they can put their gifts and talents to service to his holy church. And I don't think that's ever changed.
And definitely, if you were a quiet one, an introvert or an extrovert, there was a place for you, especially at Café Catholica, because you could, if you wanted to, sit by yourself and Father Sean would come and say hi to you. Or if you were there with your group of friends, that was fine too. But I think in the end, everyone, there's still that connection of why we were there.
So it was just a good effort, and it was collaborative. Like Vivian was saying, the various young adult groups, whether it be St. John Vianney or Bay Area or St. Michael or St. Anne's, they took on responsibilities for the food and the organization for the week. And then, I'm very grateful to Bill Cork from the Archdiocese at the time, who was instrumental and met with us and encouraged us to do it. So we had a lot of support and to the encouragement to say, hey, we want to do this. And it was good. I think the Archdiocese deserves credit for wanting to see that and helping it make it possible. Yes. We were running on a shoestring budget, but I mean, that's what the church does. I mean, you don't need a whole lot. You just need a space. And of course, Mass was for free, and, get somebody to donate a Subway. And, it was more about the opportunity to come together. I think that was key.
It is really heartwarming to see it still going. When we hit that 15 years, when we hit that 20 years, and then now 25, I think back, like I was so young back then that now my daughter, when she gets out of college, will be able, just to see
I hadn't thought about that.
It will probably be going still, that she will be able to attend as well.
Yeah.
So
that is amazing. And Vivian could go now and pass as a young adult there. Yes, you could. You look exactly the same. They don't want the old priest there anymore. I was once young and hip, but now I'm just an old, crotchety old priest.
You're just an old priest with a bad hip.
Yeah, exactly. So, one thing I also remember was the naming of it.
Yes.
Oh, gosh. We spent so many hours and meetings. What are we going to call it? We can't call it Theology on Tap because that has a trademark. And so we went, I'm sure in my notes here I have different
options
we came up with. And somehow we threw out there and landed on Café Catholica. I like Catholica. What is that? I mean, right. It's like good Café Catholic, but somehow we throw an A on there and it stuck for whatever reason. I feel funny now that you look, it's still 25 years. Oh, they're still calling it that. Yeah. But if it works, I guess. But it sticks, and there you go. There you have it. So
it's amazing what the hard work and dedication of the people of God when they see a need and see an opportunity, and God blesses it. And you see a quarter of a century later, here we are about to do another phenomenal year of Café Catholica. You guys have mentioned, I guess, in various ways, for those young adults in your own parishes, how do you encourage young adults now to say, hey, give it a try? I know there's something there for you.
I have a real passion still for young adults, and I always want them to say, you just never know what God has in store for you. I mean, I look back at the last 25 years. I even look back on how I met Aldo, because it was Café Catholica that he saw me but never talked to me for 5 years.
Oh, yeah. He's very quiet, very shy. But.
Yes. So that's an example, right? He was the quiet one. And, but after that, you just never know. And I feel like they should just take that chance and take that leap of faith to attend. I mean, it's not going to hurt you. It can't hurt you. It can only give you the biggest opportunity ever. So.
It's always it's kind of an Andrew and Peter thing, come and see. I think it's just inviting and letting people know, hey, this is out there. Our young adult group from Christ the Redeemer. I mean, we're far out in Northwest Houston, but a number of our folks still go there. So just spread the word. In 25 years, people have just how we communicate has changed. I mean, the world is different. And but to know that, hey, there's something out there, and hey, just go check it out. Pick one Monday. Mm-hmm. What else are you going to do? You're going to sit around at home and watch Netflix or something like that.
Scroll through reels.
Yeah, exactly.
Who wants to?
Just go
be in
person. And hear a good talk. go to Mass, maybe go to confession, and get a bite to eat. You're home by 9:30. It's not the end of the world, and you never know. And then the Holy Spirit works in mysterious ways. So if we can get folks to come and check it out, I always encourage not only our young adults, obviously, to go, but I tell a lot of our older parishioners here, I say, if you know of a young adult, maybe you have one who still lives under your roof, or who comes by to do laundry, or for an extra $50 or something like that. If you know of a young adult, and maybe they're not as active in their faith, maybe they're not going to church, hey, let them know. Hey, I saw there's something happening in the Archdiocese, something called Café Catholica or something like that. Why don't you check it out? Here's a flyer. Here's I saw on the web, and they can send a link to it. So, just spread the word and invite. It's always... I think that's what we did 25 years ago.
Yes.
Open the doors and let people know, come on in, you're welcome here. And from there, you step back and you let the Holy Spirit do what the Holy Spirit's going to do. And if you do that, good things happen.
Good things happen.
Good things happen.
A big thank you to Father Sean and to Vivian for their time, for this little trip down memory lane. And thank you for helping to start this program that 25 years later is still going strong. The Café Catholica Young Adult Summer Speaker Series is open to all young adults in the Archdiocese, ages 18 to 39, and this year will be held at St. Vincent de Paul Catholic Church, located at 6800 Buffalo Speedway in Houston, on Monday nights in July. The main talk starts at 8:15, but there's confession, Mass, and dinner beforehand, so come join us. You can find all the details online at cafecatholica.org, and we'll put that link in the show notes for this episode. And, as always, if you'd like to learn more about the ministries and offices of the Archdiocese of Galveston-Houston, you can find us online at archgh.org. That's archgh.org. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you again soon, here on Around the Archdiocese.